Hi everyone, today's card's going to be really simple. I'm just using the elements from this sunflower paper pack that came within a magazine. I used this a couple of weeks ago and I really need to get this used up. Everything just seems to go back in the drawer and then never gets used. So what I thought I'd do today is a wallet card. So I've got all my bits taken out from the paper pack. I'm not using any dies for this card. I'm just going to use what come within the pack and we'll get that used up. So my card base is a 5x7. So I've cut this one at 10 inches by 7 inches and scored that down the middle. My first matte layer is 4 3/4 by 6 3/4, and I've already put the double-sided tear tape on the back of there. And then my top layer, again with the double-sided tear tape on, is 4 1/2 by 6 1/2. So if I get those tapes taken off, start building this card up. As I say, it's going to be really easy, really quick. Sometimes you just need that quick card. Not every card has to be full to the brim with embellishments. So my first piece is the same colour as the card base. So I'm just going to get that nicely lined up and let that fall. Then we can remove those backing tapes. There we go. I made a card a little while ago using the bottom of this patterned paper, and this was what was left over, so I thought we might as well get this one used up. So again, I've put tear tape on the back of this one. I could have glued this one if I wanted to, but as I had the tear tape out, I thought I might as well use it. And any bits of tape just tuck in. Now I can see before I even stick that down that I'm not going to like this card because it's got a white core. So if I take in the seedless preserves, and I'm just going to run around that edge, which is a bit more difficult now I've taken the backing tapes off, but that'll be fine. So we're just going all the way around just to get rid of that white core. So that was the seedless preserves in the distress oxides. Now if I bring back in my card base, I'm going to get this one nicely lined up. Give that one a nice press down. So that's front of our card. This piece is for the inside, but we'll put that in a while. I've pulled out this beautiful image of the sunflowers, which is going to sit just on the front. I've popped some double-sided foam tape on the back of those because I want this to be raised. And I'm going to get this quite near to the top of the card, just about there. And then we need to work on the inside before we go any further. So this piece on the inside measures 4 3/4 by 6 3/4, and this is going to sit just there. But before we do that, you need another piece, and I've cut mine at just over 5 1/2 by 1 inch, and I made a score line at one end at 1 inch, just so that you've got 1 inch overhang. And this is where we need to decide where we want this to go. So I want this to go below my topper. So I want that to go roughly about there, I think. So if we leave that where that is, whoops, open that up. I'm going to glue this just in that area there. So if I pop a tiny pencil mark just there, I know where to place that. So I'm going to pop some glue on the back of this tab. I'm going to get this lined up. Making sure that's lined up with the edge of the card. And give that a nice press down. And then now this piece can go over the top. Now the reason I want to pop this over the top again, but the reason I didn't just put this piece is because this was cause a ridge, which I think would spoil the effect of the card. Again, with double-sided tear tape. I forgot to put this one on, but never mind. Just run your tear tape as always. All around the edges. And a piece down the middle. Always giving them a nice burnish. And then we can remove our backings halfway, I think, just so that we make sure we get this nice and square. And then we can remove that center one completely. I'll get this nicely lined up and just let that one fall, and then we can remove these backings. And now we've got this tab which is coming across the front like so. I'm going to give that a really nice burnish on that edge. There we go. Now on the front of this tab I cut another piece, and I cut this at 4.5 by 3/4, and I've already popped my double-sided tear tape on the front of there. So just take those backings off, tuck any under. I'm not so bothered about the white core on this little tab, and I'm going to get that one nicely lined up. So that's where we are with that at the moment. And on the inside of this card, I cut myself a strip at 1.5 inches by 6 3/4. Let's see, that's just a tad too long. So So I just snip that at the bottom there. Get this lined up again. And that's perfect. I can now glue this one down. So a nice amount of glue on the back of there. Get this one lined up at the top and the bottom. Give that one a nice press down. So this is how the card's looking at the moment. Now with the sentiment that I wanted to put on the front, I've pulled out from the paper pack Thinking of You. And when you take your elements out of any paper pack, inevitably you get these little pips that are on the edges. And all I do with mine is I take my file and I just file them down. Just makes that look a bit neater. Nothing worse than having these tiny pips sticking out. Some people just go along with their scissors and chop them off, but that's how I like to do mine. There we go. And this is going to sit on the front of here. Now you need to get this as close to the right hand side edge as possible, because we need to put our tab over so that we can pop this in through our tab. So I'm just gluing this down. I'm not having any height on this card apart from the embellishment that we've already put down. I'm going to get this one lined up and I'm going right to the very edge of the pattern piece. That's that one glued down. And now for our tab, it's going to hold down. I don't know whether to use the dotty paper or a sunflower piece. I think we'll stick with the dotty actually. So what we need to do is measure the width of the total width of this is 1 inch. So if I cut myself off a piece, I'm just going to go 1 inch in width at just over. If I cut this at 2 inches a minute, absolutely fine. Now, yeah, that's absolutely fine. I do want to do the same again with this, with the seedless preserves. So I'm just going to go up the edge just to make that look finished. This time I'm going to allow that to dry before I do anything with it. And I'm going to choose some gold beads. Now, we've got the really, really tiny ones. Or we've got the next size up, and I'm just debating which ones to use. I think I'm going to use the really tiny ones actually. If I can get those turned over. There's one, there's the other one. Right, let's see. It's now dry. If we get this roughly there, I'm going to pop some glue. I'm going to come in about 1/4 inch with the glue on both ends, because I want the ends to lay flat. Get this exactly where I want this to go. I'm going to lay my secure tab. I don't know what this is called. I'm just going to get that exactly where I want that to go. Give that a nice press down. Now you can see why I wanted this sentiment right to the edge. And then with these tiny, tiny beads, I'm going to put one in the centre at the bottom and one in the centre at the top. And then I can decide if I want any more. So there's one there. And one there. You just want this to look like brads that are holding in the support for this. Let's have a look and see what 3 would look like. Well, I suppose we could put 3 across the top and 3 across the bottom. So one in that corner. It's going to be quite a way away from each other, but that's perfect. One in that corner, one in that corner. So pop that one there. And that one just there. This one in this corner. Just want one more in that corner. So there's our brads. So while we're waiting for those to dry, we can just pull this out and do our sentiment on the inside. So on the front we had thinking of you, and on the inside I would like to put hope you feel better soon. So rather than it saying get well soon on the front, hope you feel better soon, it's saying thinking of you. So this is for somebody that's really not well, and it's just to let them know that we're thinking of them. So I'm going to pick that one up, and with the VersaFine Onyx Black, let my cardstock nice and straight. Hope you feel better soon. There we go. Give that stamp a good clean off. We can pop that one straight back. And now hopefully this is dry. So just make sure that's the inside's dry. So now when we bring this across, we can pop this through. This is how they receive the card. Just open it up, and there's the sentiment on the inside. Now, the nice thing about this is if you put another tab just here, when it's opened up, that can go through there. So I think that's what we'll do, and it still gives you plenty of room to write a message. Now, this doesn't have to be a huge tab on the inside. It just needs to be, and I think what we'll do is we'll use that tiny bit of pattern paper to match this. I'm just wondering if that's a bit too wide. Just pop that down and just take off That's most probably a better width. So this piece that I'm putting on the inside is 1.5 inches by 3/4. And this time I'm not gonna put too much glue. I'm just going on the ends. Get that one where I want that one to go, and just let that one sit there. We can pop this then on the inside. Pop this together, push this one in. This is how the card looks when the recipient takes it out of the envelope. They can open it up, read what's inside, and then that can be popped straight back in there. So that's what the card looks like when it's standing up. So this is more about the inside of the card than the outside. Absolutely beautiful. Something a little bit different. You could put more brads on there if you wanted to. But I'm really quite pleased with that. So I'm just going to keep holding that while that glue's drying. Pop that one back in. And there we have it. A nice card for somebody who's not feeling too great. Well, I hope you enjoyed my little video. It was a really quick one today. Something a little bit different. Thank you for watching. And until the next time. Bye for now.